All right, this is Nick in Colorado, who is a deist. Hello, Nick.
Hi, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Great.
How can we help today?
Thanks for taking my call.
Uh-huh.
Just before I begin, I'd like to say that nothing that I will say can be used as any sort of support or justification for any theistic models or anyone's religious interpretations for their personal gods or anything of that sort. So,
okay.
Okay.
I don't support anything like that. But I've watched the show a number of times, and I've seen people call in speaking about cosmological properties.
Uh-huh.
And, what they would call the fine-tuning argument. And I'm not only familiar with that from callers, I've also familiarized myself with it just through studying physics and things. And there's no doubt that it's something that absolutely deserves attention and needs to be addressed.
But there are scientists who have addressed it and don't find it convincing at all for anything.
Yes and no. I'd say that there's just as many that do the opposite. So to just throw it away because there's a few that say that you can kind of dismiss it on certain grounds. And from what I've encountered, the primary argument against the fine-tuning position is the many worlds option. The idea that these numbers aren't hard to get when you have that many chances or whatever, so to speak.
Well, if many worlds is true, and we don't know that it is, but I would say more along the lines of if any of your fine-tuned values change, then yes, the universe would change and would be different. That doesn't mean it was fine-tuned.
My point is that there's no way to deny that our universe began as a low entropy configuration. And there is no place in nature where we encounter random undirected processes generating low entropy configurations of that magnitude, functionally specific.
So here's kind of the problem that you're having is that we can't do anything before Planck time. Or we don't know anything before Planck time because our understanding of physics breaks down. And I know many people say that physics break down, but I really think it's our understanding of physics breaks down. So, and given that you had a rapid expansion of the universe, and we don't know why that happened, how are you making a claim that you know how it happened or that it's impossible for it to happen?
Sure. So I'm not saying that I know how it happened or that it's impossible for it to happen. All I'm saying is that we don't have any other examples in nature anywhere of undirected natural process.
So, everything that you just talked about, when you say in nature, you mean within our universe, and we don't have any example of any other universe coming into being. So how do you make that statement?
Sure, because even if we don't have any other evidence of other universes coming into existence, we can see our physicists have determined how specific and it's not just the cosmological constant. That's the one that I know people a lot of times bring up. That's the one as far as fine-tuning, because that's the most dramatic example. But there are far other fine-tuned examples.
How are you making the claim that they're fine-tuned when we already admit that if there were anything else, the universe would be different? Because in fine-tuned means that something's got to have their finger on the button, and you haven't demonstrated that there's a finger to put on the button, much less that finger was actually put on the button.
Well, what I mean is that these values and the ratios between them are too particular in their functional specificity.
Well, one, we don't know that because we don't have any other universe and we have no way to test it. And two, just because they're specific doesn't mean that it was fine-tuned for this.
Sure. So first of all, I said functionally specific. And then second of all, as far as the properties of the universe go, we do have examples of the values of, say, for example, gravity being different things. We've studied zero gravity, we've observed zero gravity, and we've observed gravity in the quantity.
Whoa. So, yes, we've so, in fact, we even know that gravity on the planet is not even the same because there are different densities of the ground, but that's not what we're talking about here, and gravity is not one of those constants anyway. So, but again, you're not demonstrating there's a finger. Show me where the finger to put on the dial is.
Well, exactly. My point is this: we have chance is not an adequate, is not an adequate or sufficient answer when you're dealing with low entropy, functionally specific configurations, and you won't find any physical.
That's a huge claim.
You need. Oh, sure it is. Oh, you will not. What? Chance is an inadequate reason.
So you say
for low entropy.
So here's the problem you have, right? Here's kind of the problem you have. One, you're saying chance. You have no way of calculating the odds of any universe coming into existence. And you can't calculate that odds until you know how the universe came into existence, and we don't know that. We don't know if it came out of a singularity, although it appears that seems to be the leading case. We don't know if there are many worlds. There's so many things we don't know about what happened before Planck time because we don't understand the physics. And here you're talking about odds, and we can't even come close to calculating those. And you still, none of this proves that there is a finger to put on the button.
Sure. There is no. Are you denying that the beginning of our universe was a low entropy configuration?
Nick, take a breath, brother. Take a breath.
Yeah.
You're getting real excited. Here's the thing. Nick. You're saying if I'm hearing you correctly, Nick, need you to stop talking a minute, buddy. Take a breath. You're saying if I understand you, that this universe is too complex and too fine-tuned for there not to be a creator of some sort, a deity of some sort. Am I correct in what you're saying?
If you don't mind, I will clarify that just a little bit more specifically.
Okay.
What I'm saying specifically is that our universe, from reason and logic, okay, seems to be the deliberate action of an intelligent agent. And that's
prove the intelligent agent exists. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Okay. Yeah. See, you're basically saying we don't know, so therefore it must be this. And you're filling in the blank with a God or a... No, we don't. Sure. We actually don't.
We do know. What we do know is that low entropy, functionally specific configurations, low entropy, okay, of functionally specific configurations of this magnitude never at any place in our experience arise from natural undirected processes.
Well, let me stop you again. What you're talking about very specifically are events that happen within this universe. What I want to know is, how do you know this is true for the beginning of the universe? How do you know what the entropy level was before the universe? How do you know that that is true external to the universe?
Who's saying anything external to the universe? I'm not speaking external to the universe.
Well, you have to. If you're talking about the creation of the universe, and you're saying that nothing happens except, the only way we know things that happen are things that happen in this universe. And you're trying to say that everything we know that happens inside this universe applies outside this universe. And you're also making the claim that this universe is specifically fine-tuned. But we're talking, there's got to be an outside the universe. So how do you know this is true outside the universe?
I'm not talking about anything outside the universe. All I'm saying is that the low entropy, functionally specific beginning of our universe, the only thing that we know that can cause those conditions is intelligent agents. That's the only.
No, we don't.
Okay, Jim.
Because we don't know what caused the universe. That's the problem. You're making an assumption.
But we do know. All we know,
Nick,
what we do know, is that it was
Nick,
entropy.
Nick, Nick.
So what? But that
Nick.
does not prove anything intelligent did it.
I know you love low entropy and all of those terms. Let's say there was an intelligent designer, as you suggest there was. So what?
I say
Now
intelligent
what?
agent, but if you say designer, okay.
Intelligent agent.
That agent.
So what? Now what do we do? Here we are now.
Sure.
Who cares? Who
Yeah,
cares,
straight
Nick?
up. Now here we are now. Right. Huh? So
Who
now,
cares?
like I said, now I don't say that you can use that. I don't say you can use that as the source of your morality. I don't say that it's.
Well, then what are we even
looking
talking
in on
about?
you
Why?
to help you.
Why?
No,
Why are we even talking about it, Nick? What difference does it make?
because we're
We don't.
acknowledging this just as a point of acknowledgement that something did it. That's
So?
all. Just as a matter of fact. Just as
We
a
don't
Well,
know. and you
something-
make the
something did it.
claim, But here we are. So what? We don't know, Nick.
we have no. Sure we do. And this idea, like I say,
How do we know? How do we know
Low entropy,
that something
Jim. Low
intelligent?
entropy.
Oh, it's just because. Yeah. Well,
Sure.
right. How do we know?
Because and not only low entropy, but it's also functionally specific. So it's a combination.
How do you know that? How do you know it's functionally specific?
How do we know it's functionally specific? Because it actually had outcomes that require or it produced outcomes that its results are necessary for. So, like for example,
So what? How do you know that did not happen just because it happened? If the fundamentals of the universe were different, the universe would be different. We've already admitted that. But what you haven't done is proven your case that there was an intelligent agent that did it.
Mm-mm.
Sure, it's not about it just being a different universe. It's functionally specific, though. So, like our
How do you know that? Prove it.
Something in here.
What is the experiment you did to prove that it's functionally specific?
I'll tell you exactly how we know that. I will tell you exactly how we know that, if you'll permit me. Okay? So here's how we know that we have this weird thing. And look, I'm not saying that the universe is fine-tuned for life to exist. That's not my position. I don't say it's like this for us to be here. But what I'm saying is us being here creates an even bigger problem for the idea that this is all random and undirected. If the universe began as a random and undirected event, okay, even though it was extremely low entropy and functionally specific, if we just say, and I grant you that that was just random and undirected, okay, cool. Let's just say some way, somehow, nature and undirected processes were able to create a low entropy configuration of this magnitude that is functionally specific. Okay, cool. But then as the universe goes and grows and carries on through time, entropy increases. So the entropy in the universe...
Oh, no. Hold on. Real quick.
Sure.
You need to tell me, what is the second law of thermodynamics?
That's what we're talking about is entropy. Is about the increase of entropy.
What is quote me please, the entire, complete second law of thermodynamics?
Okay. You want me to quote you entirely? It has to do with closed.
The exact phraseology for the second law of thermodynamics.
All right. Let's find one we can agree on. Let's see what we have.
Because I will guarantee you're missing the most important part of that law.
Oh, sure. Well, what's the most important part? The total entropy of an isolated system.
Ah, there you go.
Available.
That's the word you're looking for. How do you know the universe is isolated?
An isolated system because we don't have access to any others.
How do you know that?
We don't have access. We don't have access to any other universes. So what do you mean?
How do you know that?
Isolated system. We don't have access. We have no access to anything else.
What if we just haven't discovered them yet?
Yeah. How do you know? How do you know that black holes aren't there? Also, the important part that you're missing when it comes to this planet and this planet having life, this planet is not a closed system. It gets energy from the sun.
Our universe is a closed system. Yes, it is. So if you allow me to continue...
How do you know that?
I can make my point.
How do you know that?
Where do you have evidence? Where do you have evidence of any other universes? Where do you have that?
Lack of evidence is not evidence of lack.
Yes.
So
Lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. We don't know everything yet, and we cannot see everything in the universe yet. So how do you know?
have evidence, sure, but we have evidence that everything within our universe is contained within our universe. Yes, we do. So are you?
Yes, but how do we know this universe is isolated? So one, how do you know this universe is isolated? And two, the presence of life on this planet happens because the sun is introducing energy into this planet.
The fact that they were able to develop the second law of thermodynamics indicates that we have a closed system. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to develop it. Because the second law of thermodynamics is about...
Oh, yeah, it is about closed systems, but the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the entire universe yet until we know that it is, in fact, a closed system. Not only do we not know if it's a closed system, not only that, but we also don't know what's going to happen at the end of the universe. There are multiple theories, right? Some say that we're going to rubber band back into a singularity, and some say we're going to keep expanding until nothing but energy is left and we all become quantum, and everything becomes a quantum fluctuation. I'm way oversimplifying some of this, and I know that. But again, you don't know any of this. And so when you start using the second law of thermodynamics and you don't assume you assume it's an isolated system, you have to prove that. And we can't prove it. That's the problem. And when it comes to this planet, our planet is not an isolated system. We get more energy in than we get energy out. So the laws of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics doesn't work quite the way you think it does in this particular case, because we're adding energy all the time. And that's the problem. And so again, we keep coming back to, you have no evidence that there is a finger on the button, that there is some sort of intelligent agent. You don't have any evidence that this is a closed system, that the universe is a closed system, and you don't have any evidence for any of your claims. And we've already admitted that if the values of the universe were different, then the universe would be different, and we might be different if there was any type of life in that universe. We just don't know. And we don't know how to calculate the odds, so we can't say it's against the odds. It may be the only way universes can be created is to have them created for life. We don't know any of this stuff. And to claim that that you do is just an argument from incredulity and doesn't work for us. And it's not going to work for anybody else. So thank you very much for calling. Have a nice day.
Clear?
Okay.
Good summary, Jim. No, seriously, that was just, those arguments I get so tired of them, because it's basically saying we don't know, so therefore must be this. And I get so tired of those. Yeah,
I do too. And and he was just getting so upset that I just he just doesn't get
he got himself quite worked up. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, when people start talking about the second law of thermodynamics, they forget isolated systems so many times.